Hello and welcome to another episode of Life Stuff 101. This is day 7 of the series of mini episodes as part of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. My name is Mio Yokoi. I work as a registered psychotherapist in Toronto, Canada, and also as a coach and supporter to striving, highly sensitive folks everywhere. Before we begin, I'd like to make sure to mention that what I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only and not meant to be specific advice. And for personalized help, questions, or concerns you may have, please consult your doctor, appropriate medical or mental health care provider. Welcome to day 7 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. We're in a time of some big changes, physical distancing, shelter in place, and self-isolation. And it's something that many of us in the world are practicing right now. And as a therapist and a fellow human being living through this time in our lives, I wanted to do something to hopefully contribute in some small way. I decided to put together these daily mini episodes called the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. The goal here is to give you a little daily something to add a little bit of structure to your day to help with self-care. It's my hope that by building in some time for daily self-care, it might also help to support your emotional and mental health during this time. Or, even if these daily prompts serve as distractions for just a few minutes in your day, I hope that can be helpful too. And I also want to make sure to mention in each of these episodes that at this time in our lives, just getting through, moment to moment, day to day, is a lot unto itself. These daily self-care prompts are here to support you. So this challenge isn't about productivity or doing things quote-unquote perfectly. It's about self-care. And before we dive into day 7, the day 6 challenge prompt was, when was the last time you laughed really hard? By remembering times and moments that elicited a strong emotion, like laughing really hard, we're also able to shift our current emotional state to recalling how it might have felt at that time. That's why when you recall fun and memorable times with friends or loved ones, you might find yourself feeling good again. And because it feels good to remember those good times, you might find that you talk about it together over and over again. And I guess it's something we can often find ourselves doing when we're with other people, when we have experienced good and fun times with them, but we might not necessarily do it on our own. So when you can use a little pick-me-up, it can be helpful to try out something like the day 6 prompt and remember the last time you laughed really hard. I'd love to know how you made out with day 6 of the challenge. When was the last time you laughed really hard? And what was it that was so funny for you? Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod, on Instagram at LifeStuff101podcast, or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. Now, it's time to get into day 7. And today's self-care prompt is taking time for reflection about your week and how you're doing in this very moment. So this is day 7, which means that I've been completing my own challenge of putting these mini episodes together now for a week. And to some degree, I can't believe that it has already been a week already. And I don't know about you, but time is feeling a lot different. My relationship with time right now seems so different than it's ever been. Sometimes it can feel really long, yet oddly short, and I can easily lose track of the days. So it's actually been helping me to keep track of these episodes by numbering them. I've often said in the past that I'm a recovering perfectionist, and my particular brand of perfectionism has meant that when I would think about or consider doing something, if I didn't think that I'd do it in a very specific kind of a way, or really, if I didn't feel as though I could do it to my standards, I often just wouldn't do it at all. Or I'd start something, and if it didn't seem as though I was doing it to my satisfaction, or if I didn't feel like I had a handle on it or something like that, or not seeing the kinds of results I'd hoped for right away, I would get pretty disheartened and stop. So a very all or nothing kind of mentality when it came to doing things or not doing things. I mention all of this because as I'm putting this particular episode together, I'm reflecting on myself, how it's been since the start of this unusual time in our lives, and also about the process of this particular self-care challenge project I've started. And with so much that's been going on recently, how we're all individually ebbing and flowing, and how we're feeling right now or at any given moment, it's my belief that by intentionally taking time to stop and reflect can help us set markers or checkpoints that will hopefully be a way to check in with ourselves in this present moment. But I also believe that it can contribute to how we might make sense of this time in our lives when we get to the other side of it. And I think one thought to consider right now is this. At this time, we are all in the middle of having this experience. And while we're in the middle of it, it's not really possible to make complete sense of it for ourselves. As human beings, we are meaning-making machines. But to mix metaphors here, we're all currently in the eye of this very unusual storm and dealing real time with what the storm has brought. So if you can picture being in the eye of the storm, being whipped around, trying to ensure that everything isn't just flying out of control, and just trying to get situated enough to ride it out. You can't really know the outcome until the storm has passed and you are able to see it behind you. But while it might still take some time for the bigger picture to develop, what we can do is know and acknowledge how we are doing and feeling in this very moment. And by taking time every so often to take a snapshot of where you are and how you're doing in this moment, it can help to create a fuller meaning at another time. It can also provide us with a moment to see how we're doing at this present time too. I guess we can think about it as taking an emotional selfie every so often so that we can see it both now, but also have a record of it for the future. So the day 7 of the Self-Care Challenge is taking time today for self-reflection of what it was like this past week and also in this moment. So here are your steps for today's challenge. Number 1, set aside 10 minutes today to dedicate to completing today's self-care prompt. Number 2, before beginning, take 3 slow, deep breaths. Step 3, answer the following questions. A, how would I describe my experience this week? B, what 3 things stand out from this week? C, what, if anything, did I learn about myself this week? D, how am I doing in this moment? And E, what would I most want to remember about this moment? And number 4, end off the exercise by taking 3 slow, deep breaths. Because this is something I plan on doing every week during this time of physical distancing and isolating at home, this is one challenge or prompt I'll also include as part of the challenge on a weekly basis. I'd love to hear about what you've noticed about yourself or noticed about yourself this week as a result of taking some time to reflect. And I'd also like to know how you're doing. Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod or Instagram at LifeStuff101podcast or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. So that's day 7 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. Taking time today to reflect on your experience this week and also to reflect on this very moment. Thank you for participating in these challenges and stay tuned tomorrow for day 8 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. Until then, please stay safe and in good health wherever you are in the world, and I'll be speaking with you again for day 8 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge real soon.